Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about your ex may not look like they care now, but they often do later.
This is important because we tend to think whatever is happening now is always going to be, and that's not the case.
And I say this all the time, but feelings do change like the clouds that move across the sky. Now, in the beginning, your ex is going to look especially cold and uncaring, especially at first, because right now, in the beginning, they are fighting for their autonomy. Mm-hmm. They are trying to make this decision, and they're trying to follow through with it. So they often look really distant. They look formal, like they're sending something from HR.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it feels very business related. And they even look really annoyed with any attempt to try and talk to them or get them to be vulnerable or process things with you. Because right now they are trying to protect themselves. They are trying to keep you at a distance. They're doing the stonewalling. They are doing everything to maybe slow down conversations, slow texting you, or maybe they're not responding at all, and it feels awful. But they're trying to set a boundary. And the more that you make these bids to connect, the more that you put pressure on them, the colder they're going to get. So that's why we say handwritten letters, grand gestures, messaging, trying getting around the block, trying to quote unquote talk to them about it doesn't work. Their protective mechanism is setting in and they're trying to get away from the situation, especially in the beginning.
Right. And when you feel that your ex is cold, it can put you in a state of mind like this is happening to no one else. It's just happening to me. They hate me. Why are they being so mean to me? Margaret used to say something along the lines of they're cold because they have to be. Mm-hmm. Imagine if it were the opposite. If they were nice to you, warm to you, and sometimes this does happen, but if they are saying, oh, I miss you, it keeps you on the hook for longer. And so you end up reaching out to them more because now you're thinking, okay, we're reconnecting, we're repairing. So they have to be cold in order to go through with the decision that they made to end the relationship.
Yeah.
And that can be something that's really tough because you're not used to it. For you, you're used to somebody being warm and loving and affectionate and in the relationship and committed and all of those things. So when you're starting to see them detach and starting to set boundaries, you're like, who the heck is this person? What have I done to you?
Feels like a completely different person.
Yeah. And so this is normal. Remind yourself that this is normal, and you could see even the sweetest partners become cold and become very HR-like.
If they show you that they care, you're not going to leave them alone. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to get dramatic and upset and say, I know you love me. I can see it. I could see the way you look at me. I know that you still love me. I know that you still care. Let's just fight for us, and things like that. And it just makes them more irritated and annoyed at you.
Yeah. So you have to be careful with this because I know that you're trying to reach them and this is somebody that you know very closely. So there's that part of you that's like, I know I can get them to turn this around, but they're in decision-making mode. They're in survival mode a lot of times. I need to do what I need to do and I need to get it done. This is likely not an easy decision for them. So they've thought through what it would be like to set boundaries with you after the breakup. They probably thought through what it would be like if you were going to be begging or asking to fix it or wanting another chance. And they're still going through with their decision. So we have to be able to respect that.
Yeah. So even if they do care, they're going to hide it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you have to remember that if you're reaching out to them, you're keeping them in that relief stage for a little bit longer. Because now they're getting the sense of, okay, well, if I wanted to be back in this relationship, I could. Mm-hmm. This was a hard decision and I'm going through with it. But it's nice to know that, the pain of this breakup, I could at any moment comfort it by just jumping back into it.
Yeah, there's no real sense of loss.
Exactly. And there's no real sense of accountability for the decision, which is just a natural consequence of the relationship becoming a lot more distant and them, being more independent and having to be more independent. So as long as you're reaching out, you're still giving them that bit of that safety net. And even just that checking in message a couple months later, right? It's still like, hey, I'm still thinking of you. Hey, I'm still open and available. you are still accessible even if you don't reach out to them, and that's important, unless the two of you have blocked each other or something like that. But they can reach you. They also, have the option to ask how you're doing. So we have to be willing to give them that space.
Yeah, I know it seems tiny, but even that check-in message makes them feel like they still have you. Because I literally just saw it with a family member maybe a few weeks ago. They tried to do just a nice little check-in message, and then it got, oh, no, they still want to be with me. They're still reaching out. They haven't let go. And they act annoyed. And this person was like so frustrated because they were like, I was just trying to check in and be okay and just leave things on good terms. So even a check-in message makes an ex like, I still have them. I know they want me.
Right, so we have to be careful. So they really do need that space to be able to experience something different, right? You don't want to be available all the time and have no limits to when they can have your attention.
Yeah.
So
You have to imagine for them, they're kind of like a crab in their shell or a turtle, and any kind of pressure, anything that feels like danger keeps them shut down and hiding. And until you leave them alone and there's been enough space where they can kind of feel like they can emotionally come out of that, they can't really think about or reflect on the loss or what they did wrong, because they're still in that mindset of, oh my gosh, they won't leave me alone. How are they going to be able to sit there and think, maybe I made a mistake, if all they're thinking is, oh my gosh, they're still pressuring me? You see, so your behavior is actually keeping them from being able to be free to think about, well, I did this wrong, or maybe I overreacted, or they did all these great things to me. So you're like a predator, and they're hiding in their shell until they feel completely safe.
Right. And it takes time. I think in today's world, we expect everything to be instant. I expect, my deliveries to be instant too. I get very impatient as well. So we get it. But with relationships and with people and with emotions, things do take time. So we don't want to disillusion you into saying, well, if you leave them alone for a day, then they're going to be crazy about you and thinking of you nonstop. That's not realistic. We want to be realistic with you in saying you have to give them ample amount of space, first of all, to just process the breakup. And realistically, they're going to be in that relief stage likely for a while. They're going to be out enjoying life. They're going to think that dating is going to be easy for them, or even that their own silence and solitude is better than being in a relationship with you, which this is something that I've been hearing lately, especially on social media, is the idea that, we're not competing with other potential partners. We're competing with that person's peace and solitude and the joy that they get from their own solitude and being with themselves. And I think that is partially true. Right? So we want to be able to give them that solitude. We want to be able to give them that independence. Okay. If you want to be able to experience that, you don't want to be the person to get in the way of that. This is, however, a relief period, right? There is attachment that happens in a relationship, and it takes time before that person is really able to sense and feel your absence in life.
Absolutely.
So it does take time. And maybe they may have met somebody. They may have felt that absence, felt lonely, tried to fill in that void, but reality hits. Nobody.
The magical rebound that's going to magically change their life, and then it falls apart 3 weeks or 3 months later.
Yep, reality hits. Everybody has problems. I want to refer to the Gottmans. I love this statistic, you guys, that 69% of problems are unsolvable. I just think that's hilarious. Way to go, Gottmans, on that.
You don't think they altered that data?
I think it probably was 70, and they were like, you know what? People are not going to remember if it's 70%.
They'll remember 69.
Exactly. But that's the research that they've found. And if you don't know the Gottmans, they're researchers. They've done extensive longitudinal studies on couples. They had something called the Love Lab, where they basically, it sounds so creepy, but they basically stalked couples and their everyday interactions. And there's like a crazy statistic that, they can predict divorce with like a really high rate of accuracy. So these are people who know their stuff, who have observed a lot of different kind of relationships. And they say that there's so many issues that are just persistent. And so my point with that is that there's not going to be one relationship where 0% of the problems, are going to be persistent problems. More than likely, there's going to be issues that come up in every single relationship. And it's just about, okay, choosing what kind of problems do you want to have, right? And it's going to take them time for them to realize that every relationship is going to come with its own set of problems.
Yeah. And it's the time away where they're reflecting and processing and wondering about you, where they start to experience the loss, and then they start to experience separation anxiety, and they start to get curious about you, and they start to wonder and worry if they've lost you. And you need this to happen. If they know you're still there, if they know you still want them, they're not going to experience any of those feelings. So they start to, over time, think that they're not going to have you anymore, that they're going to lose you. And maybe you're doing better off without them. Maybe you're more interested in somebody else. And that is when the things in the relationship can shift. But it's a process to get from one place to another. And preparation in no contact is just as important as staying in no contact. If maybe that's even more important, because they're going to think about the problems. They're going to think about why they shouldn't get back with you. And so if you're spending time together again and they're coming back and willing to see you and you're trying to turn things around, they have to be able to see that this isn't going to slip back into old patterns. They're going to have their doubts. So you're going to have to truly display this new version of you where you are more confident and relaxed and can handle those issues in a way that it's not going to lead to them feeling maybe disappointed or hurt, or, like you guys are incompatible.
Yeah. And I love your point about preparation being so important, because I find that many of you fall into that mindset of, oh, my ex is not going to come back anyways. This is probably hopeless. This is not going to work. And many of you, as my clients, you'll even tell me, I know that you talk to a lot of people, but trust me, this time, this person's really not going to come back. Well, when was the last time you heard from her or from them? Oh, 2 days ago. Okay. So we want to be realistic here, right? Preparation is really important. We want you to be prepared for if you do hear from your ex, and if you don't. We can't give out guarantees here, but we would much rather you be prepared on how to handle that and be open to repairing, if that's what you want to do, and know how to move towards repair, rather than being hopeless and just kind of giving up because you see that they're in the relief stage now and doing great.
Yeah. So as you can hear by the way we describe this, and we see this all the time, yes, they are going to look colder. Yes, they are going to be less likely to turn things around in the beginning. But as they go through all the experiences that we talked about, they are going to be a lot more likely to care later. Don't try to force it. All right. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you'd like to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. That's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.